Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast on Autistic Assemble, a series for all about autism this month, as it is Autism Acceptance / Awareness Month. So it's going to be a really cool conversation today. I'm joined with Ron, who is Jonathan's dad, who was on the podcast quite recently. And today is going to be really cool because Ron's going to be speaking about as a father perspective. That's going to be really cool. So Ron, I know I've pretty much I've done the same to Jonathan. So I've introduced yourself for you. But do you want to add anything else onto your introduction?
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me on, Mason. Appreciate this. Yeah, I've been supporting Jonathan from the moment he actually was born. But it's been one of those things that we have to make sure that once he was diagnosed with autism, which was in 2015, is to actually sort of make sure that we support him as much as we can. So basically, I'm just going to explain and have a chat about the things that we put in place in the hope that some of the things that we'll say will actually help other people, and they go, "Oh, I hadn't thought about that," or "Yeah, I know exactly that. I feel exactly the same way."
Yeah. So since 2015. So it's not that long ago, really. That it's been since he's had autism. So how is it for you, Ron, that like that? I guess when Jonathan got diagnosed, like how was that when you found out that he got autism?
Some warning signs. We had some warning signs because we'd be called in for behavioural issues. Jonathan would actually sit under a table when they'd actually be having a chat around in the class. They'd all have like cushions to sit on. He'd sit under the table. He'd be classified as a naughty child. And one head teacher had returned around and gone, "Never have I come across anything like this in all my teaching history," which is disappointing. But from talking to other members of the MSC, she's said that a few times, so nothing new on that one. But we'd taken Jonathan in for his diagnosis, and we were expecting, yes, we're expecting he'll probably get something. We weren't quite expecting, the diagnosis of autism. And one of the things that really hit us hard was like, well, he's got autism. And then they just said, "So how do you feel about that?" Well, you just literally had all of your future plans that you had almost ripped out of your grasp. It's right, okay. In a certain way, from there, it was feeling, okay, now there's an explanation. Now there's an explanation of why there's certain behaviours, which was comforting. But we still walked out, and they just said, "Oh, here's a couple of leaflets. We'll contact you in 6 months." And you're thinking, well, we've still got to get through the next 6 months, and there was no guidance, nothing. So we got home. Nothing really changed at home. We just quite literally got on with looking up and doing the research of everything we could about autism. And little by little, our knowledge grew. And one of the things that we both did, this is me and Jonathan's mum, Fleur, is that we actually went and done an online course. I'm going to try and show it to you.
Oh yeah,
it's called a Certificate in Understanding Autism. And we both went and studied that. And that's an online course, and it's free if you can find one of the local authorities. You need time to go through it, but going through it helped you have a better overall view about what's going on, and certain bits, tick boxes. But as we're dealing with the spectrum here, it's not going to be all the boxes. But that was the start. And then Jonathan then got involved with the Multi Schools Council. Met other parents, and I've met you, and I've met lots of other members of the Multi Schools Council, and got to know you all, which is great because you all have struggles in your own way. At the same time, I'm very much a case of it's not what you can't do, it's what you can do. And Jonathan has never been into team sports. I've dragged him down to see Ipswich a couple of times. The first time was a horrible game, but the second time, because he actually started playing football at his secondary school, he actually had a bit more of an idea of what he was watching. And this was in October, and he enjoyed the game that much more, even though we lost. You could see that he actually understood it. He also we've taken him down to ice hockey down at our local rink, and to watch the girls team, because we can get in for nothing to watch the girls team, and it's a good game to watch. And he started following that, and he's got the inspiration that, yes, I'd like to play ice hockey. Well, my dad used to play ice hockey. I'd like to play ice hockey. Well, if he wants to play ice hockey, that's fine with me. I just want him to learn to skate. So so what we've done is we find the bits that he's interested in, and we just try to extend it. He's a big fan of Doctor Who, as you know. So we have got loads of Daleks. We have loads of videos. We've got access to the iPlayer, and he can watch whatever he wants. He's also into Robot Wars. So and we've got lots of remote control robots that he battles out quite regularly. He's also a very keen paleontologist. So we've got books on geology. We'll go to the Isle of Wight. We go fossil hunting, things like that. Anything that we can actually do to actually help build up his knowledge. He loves swimming. From a lad that he first put him in the water, didn't like it on his face, was actually like as stiff as a board in the water. He now swims like a fish, literally swims like a fish, and he can actually swim from one end of this fairly small swimming pool to the other under the water without coming up for air. And his comment is, I feel free in the water. So there's nothing holding him back, which is lovely from a parent's point of view, because you see all the struggles. He comes home and it's been a bad day at school. Fine. Okay, what do we need to do? Sometimes it's a hug. Sometimes they have to listen. Sometimes it's just make a cup of tea. Whatever's needed. In his journey for school, when he moved from infants to junior school, we met up with a fantastic head teacher called Mrs. Rumsey. We said, we're really worried about how Jonathan's going to cope with being in the school. He's really struggling in infants. And she goes, let me introduce you to Mrs. Martin. So Mrs. Martin is our Senko. She goes, Mrs. Martin's very good. Well, Mrs. Martin played a very key role in helping Jonathan get into his school, because she helped redo the EHCP, understood all his needs, and worked everything out and helped us with that. And we're very grateful that through the network that we've made, and we've been lucky enough to have good people with us. Those people are opening doors. Those people have opened doors. So he's got into his school. He's doing very well. He's into his GCSEs now. But it wasn't always the case. When we actually started looking at schools for him when he was 9 years old. He was going onto his residential, and we went in to see one of the local schools around here. We walked around and started asking questions, and we said, well, look, he's got SEN and he's this and he's that, and we'd rather him not come here then.
Yeah.
If he comes in, he comes in, but if not, if you can find somewhere else. And then we spoke to somebody within Essex, and said, look, Jonathan. And we're looking at this school, and we're looking at that school, and she goes, "My dear, you don't need to look at, you shouldn't be looking at that. You should be looking at a hub school." Because she goes, "He's intelligent enough to access mainstream." So we're lucky on that front. She said, "But there's hub schools mean that they can go to the hub if they have problems, or they can actually access mainstream. If they're good enough to access mainstream, this just gives them the extra, was it safety barrier? Was the only way I could describe it." So, if it wasn't for her mentioning that, and we went and visited two hub schools. One was at Wickford, one was at Coggleshaw. Both were excellent. And we then got what the Essex gave us as far as part of the local agreement. So he's been very lucky with that.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's also what he's capable of doing. So we had the swimming, and I've mentioned that he likes ice skating. Well, he didn't like ice skating. We part of a get-in club during the 6 weeks holiday. Go and have you drop him off for a day, and he come back that day with his sister. He's going, "They put us on the ice rink." Like, well, yeah, that's if you're going to go to Chelmsford, you're going to go there. Oh, I didn't like it. Oh, we've got news for you. We booked you both, both him and his sister, in for 5 days or half an hour lessons with this coach. First couple of days, didn't want to do it. By the time he finished that week, he got from one end of the ice to the other and could skate around very slowly, but he could do a complete lap. And the coach just said, they're both doing really fine. If they're together, why don't you stick them into the and do the full coaching? So we joined. Following week he's in, and he has done fantastic. With autism, you say do it this way. Well, he does it that way, and he listens, and he went through grades 1 to 8 in just on a year. And it's pretty good. They're not everyone goes through in a year. Sometimes they take that 15, 18 months, but he's gone through in a year. He has completed his bronze freestyle now, and I think it's 1 mark off of silver, and he's already got a couple of them on gold. Quite how far he'll ever take it, I don't know. But at the end of the day, looking at him and seeing him on the ice and seeing how what he does is something that brings pride to both from me and his mum.
Yeah, because it takes time, doesn't it, to learn how to do it. Because like I've been like when they had the roller skate and roller world,
Yeah.
And it's not there anymore. But when it was, I would bruise myself so bad, I'd fall over all the time. And it's good that like the more you practice, more the better. Because it makes you more comfortable. I guess you meet other people there as well. If you go to a 5-day course or something, you'll meet new friends. And I think that is one thing people do with autism do struggle with.
Yes.
As well, like meeting new friends, especially if it's at school. Like if you move schools or transitioning from maybe primary school to, let's say, mainstream school kind of type thing, that is hard because you may be friends with a lot of people maybe in year 6, and then people go to different areas, different schools, and a lot of the time you might stay in contact with 1 or 2 at the most, really, and then they will just vanish.
Couldn't agree more. And when Jonathan transitioned between junior school and secondary school, we were right in the middle of the pandemic. And so he never actually finished properly his year 6. And when they did get back into the school in year 6, they actually shut it down early so they could get the youngsters coming up. So he missed out on an awful lot of the fun bits after working so hard. But when he was in the last couple of years of of the junior school, he made 3 other friends and become very good friends. They were called like the Four Musketeers. um, and they were great, and they would support each other. And the difference that having some good friends made to him and his self-esteem and his confidence and everything else. And the problem being, where he's actually gone to secondary school, he is the only boy from that school that went to there, and he's had to start from scratch. And he's not only just started from scratch, to his credit, he's gone in and he's tried to make friends. Some people find him probably a bit weird, and you actually understand autism and not, but for lots of other people who aren't as well informed, then he was seen a bit. It's a bit strange, or he doesn't do it this way, doesn't do it that way. Yeah, well, that's just Jonathan. There's, it's what he does and how he does it is absolutely fine. As long as he gets there, it's great. But it's taken him 2 years in the junior school, not junior, secondary school. He's met people, but little by little, there's some really good, strong friendships come up, which we are really ecstatic about, because he's still in contact with some of the people that he was at junior school with, because he's got a phone and he can make calls and that. But it does make a big difference when you've actually got some mates at school as well.
Yeah, it does. And like, I think now, like, I think when you're at school, you see people who are maybe more popular than yourself when you are at school, and then it's hard to, it's definitely hard to make friends, because sometimes with autism you may not, you don't know if they are your friend or they're not, or they're just saying that they're your friend just to be nice. But I think in society, I think autism or not, just friends in general, I think that, like you said, like the Four Musketeers, 3 or 4 friends are better than 20 that you may not probably speak to them as much. Like a small friendship group, I think, is much easier to develop a long-term friendship with someone, rather than just having as many friends as you want. Because as you go through life, you're gonna not speak to friends for ages. I like friends that maybe you don't speak to for a long amount of time, but it doesn't matter. Like there's no kind of judgment between that. It's almost like when you meet up again that you're only speaking yesterday. So I think those type of people are good.
Yeah, it's just having to just help him understand that some friends will be there, but they're not going to be there, like you say, all the time.
Yeah.
And he's got a real close friend now, which it's made a huge difference to him, because we used to go out on walks a weekend, and he just sort of say, "But I'm lonely." I go, "Well, you're not lonely. You got mum, dad, got your sister." He goes, "Yeah, but I'm lonely for friends."
Yeah.
Outside of the family group, and you go, "Yeah, I get that. I
Yeah.
get that." It's and it's tough, and a lot of people will be judgmental. The ones that are his friends understand, yes, his little quirks and things like that, but they're happy to be there. They actually have been protecting him at times as well, which is also equally good.
Yeah, it's good. And like I think the more, if you talk about like Doctor Who or friends like that, or just things that you enjoy, or like hockey or skating, like that you talk about all these kind of things, and you often find people that like it too, or
Yes.
they like it too. Like unfortunately, when I was at primary school, no one liked Doctor Who. I was the only one. I was the only one that did, and I got people to play. Wait, songs. You're the Doctor. I'll be the companion. The other one can be the alien, the monster. And then I think they just played just for the sake of it. So just so I had someone to do it with. But I think the thing you like football, even like all these type of things, like card games. I remember when I was at school, I got into card games, even though I didn't like it. I think it was called Yu-Gi-Oh. I was at mainstream school, and I just got it just to feel fitted in. And you do this kind of stuff, and then you gain conversations, gain friends. And the good things about friends is you meet one friend, and then they'll introduce you to maybe their friends that you don't know. So that's how it kind
Yeah.
of works.
And and between that, sometimes you find you've actually got things in common with their friends, and it's, oh, we can always have a chat about this or have a chat about that. But you know, the important thing for us is always to make sure that we have enough. Give him the opportunity. He wants to do canoeing.
Okay.
He wants to do canoeing, so that's another thing. You know, he's high functioning. So in that way, we're quite lucky. It is a learning disability. Once he picks something up, he never lets go of it. And one of the things that, obviously, you've seen the Understanding Autism course that we've both done. Well, literally has just come through the post today. The next one, which is, if I can get it right, well, it's not going to show it very well, but it says Understanding Children and Young People's Mental Health.
Okay.
Because what comes with autism and other disabilities is poor mental health. So that's my next 6 months of study.
Yeah.
To get involved with that, learn all about that, and to make sure that not only do I support Jonathan, that I can support anybody that, obviously, like yourself. I also have a guy that I've only just recently started speaking to that is part of my work team. He's part of the wider work team, and he has autism. And we had a really good chat. We also talked about it's Inside My Autistic World, which was Chris Packham's 2 programs. And he went off and he looked at them while he was on holiday. And he come back, and the first message that he sent on when he come back to work on Monday was just actually sort of say, thank you so much for actually sending me the link, and I've watched these, and I thought some of the bits, I thought it was just me that felt that way. And it was, wow, okay. I'm what's called an inclusion ally at my company, and my inclusion ally qualification area is neurodiversity, and I will help anybody that needs help, that suffers from anything from autism, any disability. It's as I said, it's tough enough in a neurotypical world. I always maintain to Jonathan that, okay, you're wired differently, mate, but that doesn't make you any different from me and you. I'm just wired differently from you. And everything is okay.
Yeah, it is, and like there's always going to be struggles in life. Like, we're not going to like everything, but I think that the confidence is a thing that we will all progress if you're autistic or if you're not. And like with Jonathan, I think like as he gets older, he will realise that like all the support that you give him is and like learning you're doing like all these different courses, all these books are very benefit him with like stuff that he does, and within that, because like school isn't great. I don't think many of us like it. I don't think many of us do like school, but
I hated school. I hated school. The day I actually left school and went to work, and I've been in work 2 weeks, and I walked in on the Monday morning, and there was this big pile of filing, and I just said, right, your local college is doing a BTEC Business Studies course, which is perfect for what you're actually doing. Now, you can either go and we're going to let you off, you go home, you go and get this booked in, we'll see you tomorrow. If you don't want to do this, then we're just going to give you loads of filing. So I went and actually did the course, and I haven't looked back. And college was so much better. College was so much better than than school. Teachers were different. They were more like proper people. I find it very strange because I'm quite old, but from when I was at school, and I see how the teachers are with Jonathan's year and my daughter's year and all that, very, very different from how it was when I was growing up. And I'm pleased because it's all steps in the right direction. It's not wrong, it's good. Apart from like conduct cards and things like that. Well, we never had conduct cards. But then again, where I was at school, we had things called the cane, or one of my teachers, which was a woodwork teacher. If you mucked around in his woodwork class, he had the really big hands, and his comment was, "Well, you're going to come and shake my hand," and he'd squeeze, and you'd just watch even the biggest, butchest, boldest bully crumble because he just weak. And he didn't have many people misbehave in his class because he just did it differently.
Yeah, I think like for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like I went to a mainstream school, but I went to, let's say, a special needs school. I was a year at mainstream school, and it was the worst year probably in my life. During that year, because so many different things were bad about it. Like they had an isolation room there. For even if you did the slightest thing, so say you're just talking in lesson about something, people give you like you could call it a conduct card actually, but it's like you have these three of warnings or something, and then you're in isolation, which I didn't go to. I was fortunate not to go to because I just tried to do the things that I thought they wanted me to do. But
you tried to do the right thing. You tried to be like the best pupil as much as you can, and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a couple of times I did argue with teachers for silly things. One teacher asked me to move seat because I was talking to another pupil, and I said that's ridiculous. And then they gave me a detention or something like that, which sometimes I got it, and I had fun about it because it was just funny sometimes when it was almost like hell. But when I went to college, the only thing different about that was the misunderstanding of maybe chronic illnesses and stuff like that in my situation, which wasn't really understood. Apart from that, it was okay. Like before COVID and everything, it was great. And I was a bit disappointed because I was going to go to this theme park and it all got cancelled. And I had to do everything from home. And I was actually really enjoying college because I went to a special needs college and then I went to a mainstream school, a mainstream college, sorry, which was a lot better. It was a lot better. But yeah, it was kind of the opposite in my situation. But but
it just goes to prove everybody's different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like everyone has a different experience at school. Like if people say they enjoy mainstream and they're autistic, that's good. That's really good.
Some people haven't got that learning difficulty. They have it in other ways.
Yeah,
we're familiar with how Jonathan operates, and we balance up because his taxi journey is 45 minutes. So when school's finished, when most local kids are actually back at home within 20 minutes, he's more or less nearly an hour. It's the same when he goes to school 7:30 in the morning. He gets picked up. It's tough for him, but he's developed so many life skills. Remember the United in Diversity event? Was it him and his Senko come and kicked off the conference with their speeches? And Jonathan stood up there and was speaking to 320 teachers, carers, and students there. And his Senko come over to me and he just said, "I've got hair standing up on the back of my neck about that." He said, "He's been brilliant." And he goes, "Has he done this before?" And yeah, he's done that before. There's certain things he walks where I fear a dread. in some of these things,
Yeah,
particularly standing up in front of people and doing the speech.
it's difficult.
Um, yeah, it is difficult. I mean, you've actually hosted an event
Yeah,
with Connell, didn't you?
yeah, yeah.
So
I was.
and you've done that.
But the thing is, when I was there, but like earlier this year, I did an event. Like, I speak to 85 teachers online doing a course,
Hmm.
and talk to people, and that was different because everyone's cameras were off. It was almost like I was
Yes.
just speaking to myself. But going back to the event, like the talent show, the autism talent show, me and Connell did, when we come down, we did our little dance down the stairs, and then I did my little, I guess, little speech because it was Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Month then. So I did a
Mm.
little thing just to tell people, just to mind, just to stay back a little bit if they're talking to me. But when I was actually saying that, I was actually really nervous because everyone was looking at me while I was speaking, and I wasn't that first time in a long time I've done something like that, and it was very nerve wracking, and
Yeah.
and going to another event soon to do that again,
Hmm.
probably with probably a
Yes.
little bit more people. Um, I'll probably be the same because it's a bit maybe harder because talent show I'm
Yeah.
just introducing acts and saying who it is, but this time I'm doing a whole presentation and stuff like that. So it's very much nerve wracking when loads of people are just staring at you and
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
waiting on you for what you got to
Mm.
say.
But it's one of the one of the things that I learned about Jonathan growing up is through the likes of you, Connell, or was it Charlie? Was it the chap that I actually deal with at work? So I can see how he's going to progress. What, you know, different, but there are some similarities with all three of you, all four of you, of how you're growing up. So I take strength from seeing how well you're all doing, and I'm very proud through meeting you all via the Multi Schools Council that I've got to know such talented people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak high enough of it, but the Multi Schools Council, when Jonathan became head boy, it was only with by a very narrow margin he became head boy, but that's changed his life, and that it's empowering. He's got the chance to go and do things. Um, Unfortunately, you weren't so well when we walked up Snowdon.
No,
Um,
I won't know.
but that was amazing, and got to know everybody so well on that trip, because you're spending 10 hours walking up and down a mountain. You're
Yeah.
going to have a good chance to have a chat to a few people, of which friendships were forged then that I don't think will ever go. Um, so and doing that was great for him. He also made friends on that trip, and we've been to Autism Anglia. Was it Autism Anglia, or Bewilderwood has an Autism Anglia day? Well, they used to. They don't do it now, but we went up to Bewilderwood, and as a parent of an autistic child, and you go there and you're amongst others with the same impairments, is the only way I can think of it saying it. It's lovely, because if a child falls down, no one is judging you if you go and help them up. No one's judging you if you get a comment back or something rather from the child, because they're familiar with it. The issue, the thing that I do feel is with all of this, is that there aren't enough parent networks.
Yeah.
Where was it? I'm in one Facebook group. Wife is in another Facebook group, but there's no group locally that we can go and meet and have a chat and talk about things, and just sort of, oh, have you dealt with this? Have you seen this is the latest thing that's just come out? You might find that quite useful. I'm always very much a case of whatever I find, if I can pass it on and it improves people's lives, then I do it, without even thinking that's the reason why I'm doing this course. This course works really, really well. Then obviously I'll be flagging that up. That's another free course. Need to make a difference. Not just for my boy. Need to make a difference all round.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I completely agree. There needs to be other groups where like other parents can maybe other parents that have people who are autistic, rather than finding people online, because it's harder, because it's always better to meet people in person, isn't it? Because you have a better connection than online's all well and good, but
Yes.
it's all very rare to meet them in person. And I've done loads. As you know, I've done loads of podcasts and people around the
Mm.
world, and I've hardly met any of them in person. But it's something that you like to do. But yeah, definitely lots needs to be done with that, and especially the diagnosis system. Like you said, when
Oh, that was
yeah.
from what I understand, that's not got any better.
Mm.
And the support from the moment of being diagnosed, and the same that was it. Jonathan has also been diagnosed with dysgraphia. So it's its ability to actually take the information in, what you listen to, and being able to write notes at the same time. Was it? Most people would struggle to do that fluently, but we had to go and pay the money to actually go and get that diagnosis. Essex weren't going to fund that. No, he's already got autism. We don't need to do anything more. No, this is a fundamental part that he needs to actually have something in place so he can go ahead and get his qualifications.
Yeah, there's still lots of support needs to be there for like especially parents. Like I've I've spoke to I spoke to parents, and it's very interesting what people say, because like everyone's different how they do things. For people who have children that are autistic, because they may wait depending when they're diagnosed. So some, if they may not tell them until they're like older.
Yeah,
And it's all personal opinion, isn't it? Like when you want to say it, how you want to say it. Because it's hard, because you're learning. If you've just found out what autism is yourself at the same time Jonathan
yeah,
was diagnosed, you're in the same boat kind
yeah.
of as Jonathan, because you'll possibly tell Jonathan he's autistic, but you don't know much about it as yourself at the time, then Jonathan would.
Exactly, and it's knowledge or lack of knowledge. It's one of the reasons why the multi schools council is so good about broadcasting the message. I must admit, everyone that I work with knows what I do, what I'm involved with the MSc, and how proud I am of Jonathan and of the actual everyone that's involved with the MSc. It, you know, and I know for a fact that we've actually got people that are actually accessing the website from up north, and they actually say you've got so much more going on than what we have in our local area, and it's another postcode lottery in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It is good. Who knows? It'd be good to get up north more on the multiple cancer in time. I think.
Mm.
Because
But Kieran's done brilliantly in
yeah,
10 years on limited funding. I believe he's got more funding now. He's going to, and he's making big steps. And he's doing a fantastic job.
yeah,
Now I'm going to make a quick call out before we finish the call. Because Jonathan has an awful lot of independent study as he's now studying for his GCSEs. And his mum, when he comes in from school, it's like a routine. Right, so how much IS you got? Well, I haven't got much. Well, I've checked on your register. You got this, this, and this. We're going to sit down in 20 minutes after you've had a bit of downtime. We'll sit down and going to start it. And she will sit there and she'll go through things. If it's maths, it comes to me, because maths is my stronger area. But she does great stuff, and she also started doing revision packs for all of his GCSE subjects. Now, this is being done as well as her managing her father, who's in very poor health at the moment.
Mm.
So she is absolutely amazing with him. So between us, we do different things, but the overall support for him and his not quite so little sister these days is great. And yeah, I wouldn't be without Jonathan the way he is. And there, from that moment of getting diagnosis to where we are now, and to see and walk the trail with him, sometimes one step behind, because I want him to be independent. He's picked up probably within his class, he has got a far more life skills than a lot of other students of the same age. And that's because of all the opportunities he's been given.
Yeah.
And I think you've done the same. You've chaired meetings. You did brilliantly. I was sitting there quite. You could have seen the smile on my face. He's nailed this, absolutely nailed this, which is great. And all of these things is what we do at work and other things. But through doing the stuff that you do, you can apply that to so many things.
Yeah. It is good to have these different groups now. Like it has progressed, like you say, in the last 10 years with the Mighty School Council. Like I was there from near enough closely to the start of it, but like knowing it was literally nothing at the time. Like it was just a thing called Mighty School Council. I was like, what's that? I don't know what that is. Like and at the time I wasn't in school, so it was kind of relevant, and it was very small at the start. But like you said, we have all these different groups now. At the start, there was no meetings really, and now near enough every week I'm going to a different meeting about something. So it's great, and like you got Jonathan now being like joint team leader of the autism group, doing all sort of things. He did really well in his kind of meeting. I know.
He's also part of the Young Essex Assembly.
Yeah,
and on next Thursday, he's the one that actually sits on the fence between both groups. He's in both, which is lovely, and he's learning other things. He's started doing his Duke of Edinburgh walk as well.
Yeah.
All of these little bits to try and build him up, because I believe that he can be as independent as he wants to be. He just has to have the right things at the right times and given the opportunities. And that's that's all I can try and do, is provide him with the opportunities. He's got to walk the walk.
Yeah.
With a little bit of help.
Definitely. Yeah, we all need a little bit of help, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's always going to be opportunities within the Mighty School Council. I see you get all these emails about different opportunities. I had a meeting the other day about it was a health meeting, but it was a health meeting about a website that needs to be improved. So I'm there helping out with the website. But there's all certain different things that you're always going to get involved. Like with the Mighty School Council, there's normally at least one or two events a year, major events.
Yes.
Which it's cool because everyone's like assembled and reunited together, and I think that's great. And I think as it gets bigger, we get to do different things, do other stuff in different regions, different holidays, perhaps in countries where you can make a difference elsewhere. But I think it's gone a long way, and so has Jonathan since I've known him, because I think when I first met Jonathan, he was very shy, and now he's flying. He's fine doing all sorts for the Mighty School Council and everything that he does.
And the same with you. And the same with you. You do all your podcasts and everything. We're friends on Facebook. I see all the bits and pieces that you get up to, and you go around the country as well.
Yeah.
With lots of things.
Yeah, I do.
And I'm watching. Well, Connell's been doing a few bits and pieces as well recently. So it's lovely to see how you guys are all going on. And as I said, it's an inspiration for me, not just to see you guys grow, but also knowing that Jonathan can do the same sort of stuff.
he can, and he can, like, it's linked into autism really well. I said this to Jonathan as well, but like last year I went to Cardiff, um, and it was great. And the primary reason was because Doctor Who is filmed majority in Cardiff in Wales.
Yes.
And I went around doing all certain locations, but the really cool thing about it was everywhere I go, I say Doctor Who filmed here, and they tell me. I remember I went somewhere last year. I went to the church, and they tell me like this was in maybe 2010. It was
Mhm.
filmed an episode, and I got this lady tell me all the information, saying that
Yeah.
they had a fake police box built. They made they built a fountain, then they took it
Mhm.
apart again just for one scene. So it's something that Jonathan can do, like things that he's interested in the future. That you
Yeah.
travel. Even I go with people like my mum and dad who
Mhm.
my mum scared of Daleks when she was a young.
So
Yeah,
was I.
yeah,
So was
hide
I.
behind the
I used
sofa.
to hide behind the
Yeah,
sofa.
you hide
Yes.
behind the sofa. That's the thing. And then when I get told that now, I think hide behind the sofa. I found like when I was younger, you had the clockwork monsters
Mm.
under the bed, and I would always get frightened under the bed. Is there something under sleeping? When you go to bed, is there something under the bed? But yeah, and but the thing is, going to these different locations, which I'm actually going to do again this year in July.
Mhm.
I'm going to go back and do it, and actually go to Swansea as well. But the
Yeah.
thing is, I go to with people that maybe who aren't as obsessed, let's say, with Doctor Who as me. But
Yes.
it's almost like a holiday because you go to these places. They're normal attractions that people go to. It might be a garden centre, it might be a
Mm.
church, but these are nice
Yeah.
attractions for anyone who don't or are not interested in it as well.
Yeah.
So that's the major thing, and doing things that you're interested in, like starting to go to football matches, like you took Jonathan to a few times to see Ipswich
Yeah.
play. That is really fun, and like in the future, like going to away games is that's almost like a holiday trip. Like
Oh
when you
yes.
do that,
I was it when I first started going to watch Ipswich was when I first started going to work because I grew up in Romford, and the closest club at Romford is West Ham.
yeah.
My mum and my family are all West Ham fans. I am the only one, and that's all
Well,
thanks to Paul. All thanks to Paul Mariner. But as soon as I actually started work and could earn the money, apart from like the odd game which my dad would take me to if it was in London, but as soon as I could actually earn my own money, I joined the London branch of the Ipswich Supporters Club, and I went everywhere. I learned so much about this country
yeah,
by going to watch football, and I still maintain I can have a conversation with any football fan
me too.
about something that we'd have in common.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, most of your family are West Ham fans. It's the same with me. They're West Ham fans or they're Tottenham fans.
Yeah.
And I don't like, for some reason, I just don't like West Ham. I don't like them, and I want them to go relegated this season. But yeah, Tottenham is probably my favourite London club, probably because they don't win anything. I just feel sorry for them.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Um,
There we go.
yeah.
But
But
it's been
last
lovely
thing,
to
Ron.
chat to. Yeah.
Just before you go, is there anything that you'd like to say? Maybe any final advice or any final thing before we finish?
No, I think I've
Yeah.
said everything that we've been through. I only hope with the stuff that I've discussed, brought up, talked about, showing you from the courses that we've done and all that, that if anyone that's actually listening to my ramble will find it useful and hopefully inspiring, um, or help to actually do something different.
Yeah, I think it will, and I think you never know who's going to help if it helps. I always say if it helps one person, that's
It's all it has
that's
to
it.
do.
Yeah,
All it has
just
to do.
all it has to do. But thanks, Ron. I hope you. I'm glad that you've enjoyed it and you've come on here. Because like we're speaking about football, we can see about Ipswich all day long, but we
Oh,
don't have time. We don't have time for that, do we? But
no,
well, thanks again, Ron, and it's been awesome.
lovely. Take care.
Yeah.